Councillor Brackle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of comments. A couple of things as we look at the tax increases. We did put into place life cycle maintenance, which is costly for a road, and that's perhaps why our taxes went up higher than others who may not have it, and other municipalities do not. We also have a life cycle 100-year utility plan, and which will be stabilized in the near future. We had some high increases, but the aging population will benefit from it because it will stabilize and not completely increase. I supported and asked for the municipal price index. It was happening in other places across Canada, and so this was one of my ideas. Administration did go and develop it, which I believe is very important and tells a more accurate picture of the costs in St. Albert. The other thing is the cost of the aging population, and this is very important to look at and for everyone to get together and address, because not long in the 50s, 15 people supported a senior. When I graduated in '67, it was 7. We're down to 4.5 today, and in 2025, we're going to be down to 2 people working supporting a senior. And you can already see the generation conflict that has developed with the Occupy cities movement. We also see what's happening in Quebec, where the students are saying, you got your education at next to nothing and you expect us to pay for it and also cover your cost of as you age. So we have to address this so we make sure that we can reduce and eliminate the generation conflict that's going to come if we don't. Having said that, now I looked at it, even during the 90s, we did have 0 increases, but we went $55 million into debt. So it's a very fine line of how we do taxes. Having said that, I will support this, but I will leave the option that I may also ask for more life cycle maintenance in the budget. Thank you.
Councillor Mew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to echo what the other councillors have said on the work that Councillor has put into this. I want you to look at page 1, though, if you could. Something I observed, the very first page. In 2001, we had the decrease, and you give the reason why, Councillor McKay. And then we stayed constant after that decrease at a pretty high increase, 5-6%. Then in 2006, it went down to 2.98, but guess what? The next year, it bang, over doubled. And look at the trend now again. We're at 2.89, 3.24, 3.80. If we go down to 1.50, I can almost see a crystal ball saying in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be 5 or 6% increase. And that has to do with what Councillor Broadhead said about inflation. It's something that we have no control over. The cost of goods and services go up. That's just the way it is. It's the same thing as wages and materials for building houses, cost of land. You can't get away from that. So the only way we're going to achieve this, and I like the concept, is we're going to have to take away from Peter to give to Paul. And our new city manager is going to have to be very creative in trying to maintain all our services with his departments. If we could say no more than 3% for the next 4 or 5 years, that I like. But I sure hate to see a year where we have to go up to 6%. That's all I had. Thanks.
I had to weigh in on it before you call for the vote. About 2 months ago, at a discussion, we all weighed in on this conversation at that time and provided Mr. Jardine a perspective, and our staff have been off preparing budgets, and I realize that it's still plenty early, but I just think that this is going to limit either creativity or information coming forward. So I'm not going to support it because I just actually believe that our staff should present to us what they believe is the best shot budget, and I think for us to be predetermining what the percent increase is I mean, we might as well not have a budget process this fall. Might as well just, this is it. If this is all we're going to do, then we're wrapped up. So I don't believe that we should do it this way. Councillor McKay, to close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first off, the genesis for this motion was that every year administration will come to council, usually the Standing Committee of Finance, and have a quick question as what should the increase be for the next year. And that's why this motion is here in front of you today, so that it can be public. Some interesting comments that came up. One thing in relating this back to business is I defy you to find a product or service that continually increases in price beyond inflation and stays in business. You just don't see it. Municipal government and government in itself is truly unique in that it continually rises faster than its consumers' wages. Yes, at some point there may be a large increase if this is adopted, but you know what? That large increase is coming in any way. I kind of liked Councillor Broadhead's comment, and I always like to hear him speak, where he said we'd have to put a squeeze on things. Well, I'd settle for a cheap feel if you look at the property tax graph of the past 12 years.
That's an inappropriate comment.
Fair enough, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd settle for any kind of a squeeze. If you look at the past 12 years, there really hasn't been one. Now, as far as this being the entire budget process, I wouldn't say that. This gives a direction to administration to create a budget at 1.5%. Anyone here in council can raise that at budget time by bringing forward a business case or anything like that. This simply gives the direction that normally is given in camera to administration to return to us. And it's the right direction to go for this municipality. You look at how we size up in the capital region. What do we gain by having a higher than average increase every year? I can certainly tell you what we gain by not doing that. Value. Value in everyone's homes and value in people's pocket, and the ability to let them spend some of their own money. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. That's closed. Please vote. All those in favour? Opposed, if any? Votes closed, and that's been defeated. Thank you, Councillor McKay, for that.